All right, so Jund's Judy. This is very similar to green-black mid-range, although I like the inclusion of Growth Chamber Guardian in it. Instead of a Krasis splash, we have a Judith, the Scourge Diva splash, to give you a little bit of reach and have a little bit more aggressive slant, as opposed to the strict grindy slant that the Sultai variations are playing. We don't have Wild Growth Walkers in the main, but we do have 4 in the sideboard to respect the aggressive decks. We also are utilizing our red splash for a couple of Angrath and Groll Spellbreakers. This deck, like most of the decks that we play, is a viewer-submitted deck list. Let's go ahead and just dive into playing card for card what they've submitted to start and give some feedback as we go. I'm gonna go ahead and stand up for this one, though. Legs are getting a little bit cramped. Enjoy the ride up, chat. Hey, Gualgamar, thanks for continuing the sub-gifty. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome. This hand's a little bit awkward because it's got double tap land in it, but I'm definitely not mulliganing like Llanowar Elf on 2 plus another tap land. It's safe to assume you picked the Naya Riot build around instead of the... Yes, Alkalol. Our shock lands, always in rotation, they fall out and mono decks become more prevalent. So, all of the cards in Standard go through rotation. So, Standard is Magic's rotating format. So, every October, 4 sets rotate out of Standard when a 9th set would be introduced. Hey, Gualgamar, thanks for gifting a couple subs to the channel. I appreciate that. Thanks for the support. We tried out any of the top decks from the SCG event. We played the 4-color Gates deck that did well at the SCG today. Deck seemed kind of sweet. We played a Jeskai aggro deck that felt pretty reasonable. We also played a... we played Esper mid-range a couple of times. We're gonna get to Esper mid-range again later today, I believe.
Wild wasn't meant to be contained. Meet my newest friend.
Yeah, 1 dino, please. Jeskai, yeah, Jeskai's great. You can find my preferred Jeskai deck list and a lot of other deck lists on my website. Click standard decks at the top. Bring alpha duels to Standard. We played an early build of Wyatt's Esper mid-range, and we actually came to a similar conclusions that he did at the end of it. We're going to get to his exact deck list either later today or early tomorrow. Need to figure out exactly how long I'm going to be streaming for today. So I'm just going to go ahead and run the no blocks on here and let her go to 1. And then next turn, I'm probably going to plus her, draw an untapped land, and then Finality to clear the board out here since they're extending some more. Yeah, definitely going to Finality here. Perfect. Don't even need to hit the land. And the reason to not trade off my... The reason to not trade off my Midnight Reaper there is by waiting and leaving the Midnight Reaper in play when I Finality, I actually get to draw an extra card. So, bye friends. I have a Vivien, I have more lands, I have more cards in hand. We're just like ahead by every metric in this game right now. Well, Wyatt top 8'd the SCG Open this past weekend, so if you go to starcitygames.com, you can see his deck list there. Every meaningful metric, chat. Life is not a meaningful metric. Yeah, Field of Ruin just like, the payoff for Field of Ruin just isn't very high. Alright, do I just like want more dinos? I think I just want more dinos, right? Well, actually, I think I want to play out all of these creatures here. You know, I was just thinking, it's been a while since I've restarted. I'm going to go ahead and play out all of these because I don't want them to be able to consume my only Carnage Tyrant. These are the sponsors. They're great. Buy their stuff. These are the other set of sponsors. They're also great. Buy their stuff. Back to your regularly scheduled Magic Arena. Today really flew by. I can't believe we're 6 hours in already. Oh, apparently our opponent conceded while we were tapped out. Apparently they untapped and conceded. Hey, Gorks, put these towards Esper to cut the Gate Lich deck. Yeah, I could probably do that. What do I want to cut here? I definitely want my sweeper to the top end. I think I kind of want this as just a 4/4. I guess that doesn't block their stuff profitably. Trim Midnight Reaper. I guess 4/4 blocks their first strikers just fine. Maybe that makes it reasonable. Is Judy good enough here? Judy might not be good enough. I guess Carnage Tyrant's a little slow. Let's try this. Let's try this. Well, consumes a sorcery. What conclusions do I come to about his deck? I don't know. Watch his stream. Look at his deck list. I don't have all the answers. I'd just be looking it up for you, so I'd encourage you to look it up. Did I play Arena during my days off? I might have turned on my laptop and played some matches of Arena over the weekend while I was sitting watching the Open. I basically have a problem, chat, okay? Don't you judge me. Don't you judge me. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and Chupacabra to kill this. So that way it doesn't get powered up by that. What's going on, Psycho Smurf? People are so lazy. Alright, so what do I want to do this turn? I don't have a double spell turn. I think I just want a Chupacabra again. That doesn't seem unreasonable. I can't kill this one, but I can, like, kill this one. What do you think about Arena introducing Arena-only cards for special format? We get card exchange interactions that only work in digital Magic. I don't know. I think that would definitely make a lot of people complain, but Magic players are gonna Magic player and complain about anything, so that's probably fine. I agree that hexproof from a color is much better design than protection. What do I play deck-wise when I'm not streaming? I actually played some matches with the blue-green climb deck over the weekend that we played a little bit of today. That's one of my favorite decks in the current format. Wild Growth Walker, sign me up. Hey, Seth with the raid. Thank you very much for that. Hope you had a good stream today. Welcome to folks coming out from there. We're hanging out playing some Standard today.
is good to see you, my friend.
What do I think about the Shuffler? I think the poor Shuffler gets a bad rap from people who don't want to take credit for their mistakes. It's very easy to write off the Shuffler as being broken rather than saying I made a mistake. Definitely a lot of creases in the format right now. Just both attacking me. I guess I am kind of low here. Have to jump block. So Vivien's going to head in an upward direction here. I've got a Contempt to cleanly answer the Seraph of the Scales. And then we're going to have Wild Growth Walker into Jadelight Ranger to help us stabilize next turn, which is nice. While I'm not dead to this Knight of Grace next turn, I think I would greatly prefer to have a chump blocker back just in case. Okay. If they don't have a black card to put into play here, we're actually still alive. Because this Knight's going to go down to 4 power, and we're going to go up to 5 when we exile this Seraph. And then Wild Growth Walker just, like, pokes its ugly head into the game and is like, yo, dog, how you doing? Think double splashing is greedy? The question I wouldn't ask myself is it greedy? I would ask, is it necessary? What are you getting out of it that's meaningful? Oh, you know what? I should probably plus Vivien before I do this. Let's try and draw a land here, I guess. Perfect. A CMC of a card while it's in play is just the converted mana cost printed on the card. So the CMC of Krasis while it's on the battlefield is just 2. The only time you include the X in the converted mana cost of a spell is while it's on the stack. So this game is super over, right? I'm going to chump block here. I guess they're going to be ultimating a Johnny. So, like, maybe this game's not just over. We might actually play a game where we both ult our Planeswalkers.
Nothing stands before nature.
Nothing stands before nature. Maybe I'm supposed to Finality there, actually. Yeah, maybe I'm supposed to Finality that turn. Alright, let's force a block. They'd still be ulting their Ajani if I would have Finality'd there. Because the Seraph of the Scales would have left tokens behind. Wait, what? Okay, yeah, that seems like the appropriate response after you let your Ajani get attacked. Oh, does it give trample too? Oh, it does give trample, doesn't it? Vivien confirmed busted. Confirmed busted. Minus Vivien Finality. That's an interesting idea. I don't know. I feel like always ulting Vivien's the right line. Pretty big fan of having giant monsters be more giant. We're gonna play 3 or 4 matches with the deck like we always do, but I think my initial assessment is probably that we're not really gaining something meaningful by adding Vivien or Judith to the deck, right? Like, it's one of those, we spent so much time wondering if we could, we didn't stop and ask ourselves if we should type moments. Like, is Vivien, or sorry, Judith, all these female character names, mixing them up. Is Judith a meaningful addition to what we're already otherwise doing in this archetype? Is the question we want to ask ourselves. Yeah, like, we obviously know the blue splash is good, right? Like, Krasis as an extra grindy card, etc., is, like, something that's kind of has a pedigree here. Have you ever taken Vivien to 9? I don't think so. Taking Vivien to 9 seems very loose. I do think that this card's kind of a sweet addition to green-black, though. This card's just a very good green card in general. So probably going to see them adapt one of their two things this turn. Wouldn't be surprised to see Incubation Druid adapt, honestly. Yeah, if they adapt this, I actually don't get to clear the board with Finality anymore. Rhythm of the Wild could be decent, maybe. So, like, one of the things that we learned when playing with Rhythm of the Wild was that Rhythm of the Wild tends to be a little bit mediocre when you're playing it at the middle or top of your curve as opposed to at the bottom. So, like, I think Rhythm of the Wild really shines in decks that are playing, like, Rekindling Phoenix or Dragons or a ton of 4, 5s, and 6s, whereas playing Rhythm of the Wild in a deck with lots of, like, 1, 2s, and 3s doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So here's hoping they play out some more stuff that dies to Finality here. Technically qualifies. Alright, well, I just mostly clear their board now, right? I pay 2 here. I'm gonna Vivien down tick on this and then Finality the board. So if they do have a removal spell for Jadelight Ranger, Incubation Druid can kill my Vivien Reid, which is a little bit scary. It's possibly a reason to not downtick Vivien there. I didn't attack because I want Jadelight Ranger to block this turn. Yeah, that's true. The rest of her hand is, like, pretty stellar. That's a fair assessment. Oh, they have enough mana to activate this Resplendent Angel. I think we're just supposed to trade this in, right? I think that's just like, shoot this.
That can't help you now.
To be fair, I bet they manually tapped there because the auto tapper likes to always use Incubation Druid if you're casting a 3-mana spell. So that was likely why they were manually tapping there. They could double block here. I mean, Vivien was more than a 2-for-1, right? Like, Vivien killed 2 of their cards, and she drew me a card, so, like, 3-for-1 in a way. Said they're fixing Druid. Okay, sweet. Yeah, I think mana creatures should generally be prioritized to be last on the auto tapper. But again, if there's any devs out there, my #1 requested feature for the auto tapper would be able to right click on a mana source and set the priority for it to say normal priority, always use first, always use last would be awesome. That's probably kind of complicated to introduce, but that would be, I think that would be my ideal auto tapper. Oh, that's true. There aren't really right clicks in this application, right? I think it's adorable that you think this is coming to mobile or tablet. Two-finger touch spread isn't anything that you make a right click on the desktop if you want to port it to mobile. You just do two-finger touch. Is that not real? So Seraph of the Scales is unfortunately an answer to our Carnage Tyrant here. Oh, that's true. Right clicking does. Well, you could put, like, if you right click on a land, you could put auto tap preferences right here on this thing, right? Or long press. Yeah, if you right clicked here and like had auto tap preferences, that would be, there's already a thing here, right? You just need to put interface buttons there. Our 4/4s notably not fantastic in the face of a 3/5. They're also going to get to deploy Resplendent Angel this turn. Opponent's Abzan Angels build seems really sweet. Kinda into what they're doing. This card's super powerful and must answer, so like being able to like rebuy it with Find seems fantastic. Okay, Judy's actually not a bad draw here. Because we were talking about, like, what is this card doing? Cranking these up to 5 powers, like a big deal. Wonder if they have a removal spell. I assume they have a removal spell to kill this in response. They're just, like, getting me to use my mana here. This is... Oh, wait. This line seems loose, because Judith hits this for 1, and now this kills this. Yeah, this block... They didn't think this block through. Yeah. I think they forgot about the 1 damage Judy was going to deal. That's probably going to cost them the game. They need to hit an untapped land here now to activate Resplendent Angel. Yeah, I agree. Judith's not a super popular card in the format, so it's pretty easy to overlook that moment there, for sure. Yep. Alright, 3 lethal threats, attack. Judy now as good as originally thought. So, getting magic cards week 1 is not easy or cheap. And we don't know. There's a chance nobody showed up playing Judith this weekend. Maybe a bunch of people played her and they all fell short, but we don't have complete data sets with which to draw reasonable conclusions from. So, to answer your question, I don't know. I know Judith has felt really good in all the aggressive spells we've tried her in, but I don't know what that means for her against the rest of the format necessarily. I don't think this is a Wild Growth Walker matchup. I'd be pretty surprised if a good Judith deck doesn't come out of the first Mythic Championship. Angrath could be okay here. He, like, grinds out their mid-range plan and, like, kills their 3-mana angels, which is nice. Is Carnage Tyrant not good enough? I feel like I want to trim some of my top end here. Nah, I think we're usually going to be in a position to play around something like Settle the Wreckage. I agree that that's something that should be on my radar for the last game, but I think I'm going to be able to play around it a lot of time. Yeah, the Mardu and Red-Black aggro decks both seem good with Judith in them. I don't know that they're good, though. The amount of games you have to grind, like, again, the thing you need to consider is that, like, we play a lot of different decks on the stream because variety is great. Variety, however, is not good for really grinding in and figuring out if one deck is great or not. Basically nothing that I play on this stream has a large enough sample size to draw meaningful conclusions from without just a lot of guesswork. I think your thing's kind of frozen, Sags. We're currently at 3,700, which is an awesome number of people. Thanks everyone for hanging out today. I'm gonna play this and attack for 3 here. Let's get aggressive. Yeah, Theater's definitely a very powerful effect. That's one of the cards that's very good in both the red, black, and Mardu decks that we've played. There was a mono red deck that had the 8 black lands in it with 4 copies of Theater in the sideboard that did well at SCG. They are only 1 land away from Resplendent Angel making tokens every turn. For a removal spell here, deal. Even if they just get 1 angel in the air next turn, we might be in trouble. I just take every deck Jeff plays the best deck in the format. That way when I lose, I can blame him. God bless. Scapegoats, baby scapegoats, baby scapegoats. Do 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 do. The Petitioner deck exceeded expectations. We won an entire game of Magic. Things I was not expecting. I mean, you have a lot of counterplay against the card Wild Growth Walker, though. There are lots of good ways to take the card Wild Growth Walker off the table. Also, while I don't know what your specific black-red aggro deck list at Indianapolis was, if you watch us play games with the black-red deck on my website, we were beating Wild Growth Walkers that gain 12 plus health on more than one occasion. Oh, that's true. I forgot that this would trade up, huh? That's a good thing to point out, because Judith effectively gives it another point of attack, right? I didn't think about that. You're right. I missed 3 points of damage last turn. This is the subtle wreckage we talked about, which is fine, because I don't think we're winning this game anyways. Yeah, in a roundabout way, when it comes to, like, thinking about combat, Judith basically gives +2/+0 when it comes to attacking into larger things. It is all arena today. You can always find my schedule on my website. My loose schedule, though, is we play Magic Online every morning, and then we play Arena every evening, or every afternoon into the evening, etc. All right. Time to get low. Yikes. I'm not dead yet. Yikes. Got lands for days, chat. Not dead yet. Well, if they had a flying creature last turn, they would have played it. If they can adapt plus remove this turn, we're dead. So they get to kill my Llanowar Elves here. And then next turn, I can go Growth Chamber Guardian, activate Guardian, play another Guardian. Sure. I'm still not dead yet. One wet fart. If we'd have drawn some spells here at the end, we might be in this, but I think we're pretty far dead at this point. This board state's a great example of, like, why having blue cards would be good, right? Like, could you imagine if we were drawing to a Hydroid Crisis right now? How much better off we'd be? Dead on board? That's not true. Yeah, we're definitely not just done here. We have some draws. I do what I can, Gina. Okay. All right. So you're saying there's a chance. Growth Chamber Guardian is so good. How much did I spend to get all of my RNA cards? $200. I opened $200 worth of packs plus 50 packs I had from gold. Gobble gobble. All right. More spells, please. Planeswalker. Tribal wet farts, tribal wet farts, tribal wet farts, baby, Timic. They like wet farts. Do 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 do. Block. Dunk. Yikes! Okay. All right. Okay, we're cooking with gas. We're cooking with gas. Yoink! Got a jump block with Tecatli. And then we gain 5. Go to 9. Alright, your move, Yugi boy. This is all I got. Look, we drew a lot of lands in the middle there, okay? We were cumulative variance said we were due for a spell, chat. They owed us a spell. We were due. We had our comeuppance. Dunk. Can we just, like, imagine if that Judith had been a Crisis here? How dumpstered would they be if that Judith had been a crisis? Yikes! Legacy staple Angrath, not quite good enough. I think I'm happy with how I boarded. Yeah, let's run it back. I don't know their hand, but attacking into your face instead of Angrath would have been the better play. I have no idea. Which deck has been the most fun today? Where's my cue? Memekin and Simic Climb were both good today. Oh, the 4-color gate stack. The 4-color gate stack was a total hoot. Good morning. Good morning, Max. I'm gonna bin that. We're looking for another green source for Jadelight. Yeah, of course we've played Angrath in Legacy JMP. He wouldn't be Legacy Staple Angrath if we hadn't. Come on now. Which video? The Mardu control deck. All right, so they're gonna block and adapt here, and then I think I just trophy them in response, right? You think so, Hyder? Like, this keeps all my creatures in play. We put them to 11 with 9 power out. A lot of their creatures are flyers, which means Vivien just gets to come down and just, like, draw and fire. Seems pretty good. Oh! Oh, would you look at that? I think that's a big part of it, Pinky. I think a lot of people, especially against decks that are creating insurmountable control advantage in Standard, people drastically underestimate their ability to come back in specific situations, especially when your opponent has a consistent source of card advantage in play. Your odds of coming back get further and further behind. iBabe Royals, thank you very much for the brand new Prime support there. I appreciate that. Thanks for keeping me employed here this month. The old turn 3 Viv would be sweet. If they pass with 3 mana up this turn, I'm probably just going to jam Midnight Reaper rather than potentially run Vivien into a counterspell. Wow! Brutal. Woof. Good wown. Thank you very much for the brand new Prime support as well. So shipping your Bezo bucks this way this month. Yeah, I agree, Pinky. The big difference between that game we were playing last match, where I kept playing, and a match where I concede to where they've untapped with Teferi and have 6 cards in our hand to 0, is that there were still meaningful decisions to make in a game that was close, as opposed to, like, people feel, I feel like new Magic players especially, even experienced Magic players can have this issue, maybe I shouldn't even prefix this with new, is people have a really hard time evaluating when they're behind, when they're not behind on board. And especially if you're someone who's playing, like, ladder matches to, like, try and play as much Magic as possible, one of the best skills you can generate or learn to have as a player to increase your efficiency while playing is learn to recognize when you're behind, even though you're not behind on board. Kiki, thank you for the 7-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me employed here. So the Gates deck we played this morning was actually a Cut the Line donation. Someone sent in a large donation for it, so it's not in my deck queue. You can find it on the Star City Games website, as well as my Stream Decker page. I think Demystify is pretty narrow, and any deck that would want to be playing Demystify likely has better other tools they could be playing instead. Alright, so how do we feel about Vivien shoot Seraph into Finality the next turn? I think I like that. Does that seem unreasonable? Decided to get a nice upgrade for 4 months. Hopefully it will improve my cumulative variant. Thank you, Fragabo. I appreciate the very generous tier 3 sub there. Thanks for keeping me around. And be sure to, tier 3s submit their monthly subscriber deck through the forum just like everybody else. So feel free to put that through and just mark that it's for your tier 3 in which month. Somebody on Twitter, when we were talking about the shuffler not being bugged on Magic Arena, said they actually believed that cumulative variance was a thing. And cumulative variance is also known as, like, the law of large numbers or the gambler's fallacy. Why would attacking with the Ranger be a bad thing? That's probably fine. Freedom Fred, thank you for the brand new Prime support. Welcome, welcome. I appreciate that. Additive probability, yep. Cumulative variance, additive probability. These are things that people who don't understand statistics actually say and believe. So, we're actually kind of back to parity, right? They have 4 cards, we have 3, we have 2 Llanowar Elves. You could get 8 lands in the middle. That's not, it's honestly not super rare in paper Magic if you're actually shuffling properly. I agree with your sentiment that most people don't shuffle enough to fully randomize in paper, but your sentiment that the random is that different than in paper isn't true. What actually happens is that because humans tend to remember bad things that happen to them than good things, the big difference between paper and digital Magic that people don't get emotionally is that you play so many more games of digital Magic than you do paper Magic, is that you hit the outliers on the variants more often. No, not more often, but you hit them in more total games than you would in paper, because your total number of games is much higher. And then it's a very natural human emotional response to go, oh, I get screwed more often here because I've gotten mana screwed 6 times in 80 games on Arena, but I've only gotten mana screwed twice in 20 games in paper. And it's like, well, the ratio is basically the same, but you're playing so many more games that it's harder to disconnect and realize that the percentages are the same for most people. Sorry. This has been Professor Jeff rant about feelings and variants and how they're related. 4 months, don't always watch your streams, but I catch the YouTube content. The Mardu control deck was sweet. Can we get that back in? Definitely. Gundam, can you drop me a DM to the link for the Mardu deck you're talking about, just so I make sure I get the right one in? We've had a few different Mardu decks. Thank you for coming to my Hookle Talk. Thanks, No Spoon. Yikes. All right, so in response to this trigger, I'm gonna Vraska's Contempt their thing, which means they never take my toy away. Now the Carnage Tyrant can hit us for 7 and we go to 2. And then, am I out of crabs? I might be out of crabs. You think Sultai Midrange is better than Sultai Climb? So, SCG had separated Sultai Midrange and Sultai Climb into 2 different archetypes, but if you actually go in and look at the deck list that they posted on their website, I think separating Sultai Midrange and Sultai Climb into different archetypes doesn't make sense. They're very similar. And again, just like, looking at this game, what Judith and the Red have added is just so much worse than adding Hydrate Crisis to this deck. Like, if we were just like drawing to Hydrate Crisis in these games instead of having a Judith in our deck, we'd be in an infinitely better spot. No Space Twitch, thanks for the month of great content. You've kept me occupied while job searching. Well, thanks for the 2 months. Welcome back. The Equinox, if you go look through the deck list on their website, they're all very similar. Yeah, I agree with the assessment that if you're interested, I think I agree with the assessment that if you're interested in playing Jund, you should probably look into the build that Jim Davis had played with the Chain Whirler plus status combo. Seems really sweet. Why not evolve the Growth Chamber Guardian at the end of your... I'm not sure what you're referring to, Singer. Chain Whirler plus Status Statute. It's a 1-mana black-green combat trick that lets you give a creature Death Touch. So you put Chain Whirler into play, and then in response to its trigger, you give Chain Whirler Death Touch and kill other creatures. Jim Davis finished, I believe he was top 32 at the Standard Open, so you can find his deck list on SCG's website. I think he did a deck tech as well. It's 4-mana Plague Wind, that's 2 cards, right? Leaves a 3/3 first strike behind. Yeah, I agree, Gorks. If you haven't checked it out already, I posted a summary in... I posted a preview of my article for the week in the subs Discord, and I pulled out that deck list and other ones I thought were interesting. Yikes. Alright, well, I mean, this is a keep. You're not excited about it, but this is a keep. Polar Vortex may be cold, but my Bezo Bucks for Jeff never gets old. Happy 13th, Unbanned Twin. Yeah, it's funny. It didn't seem like it made sense to run the heat in my entire house during the day while I'm the only one here. So I've been like dropping my thermostat in the house to like 65 or so during the day, and then I've got a little electric space heater going behind me, which I guess I should look at my electric bill and find out if that ends up being economic or not. Pro tip for all people in general. If you ever find yourself not enjoying free content someone's producing on the internet, don't be a whiny twat and be like, oh, I need to announce to the world that I don't like this content. Instead, just change the channel. It's okay. Not every content, every bit of content that's made on the internet is going to appeal to you or anyone. It's okay to not like something I make. It's okay to not like something other people make. It's not free. I love my favorite, I didn't say this wasn't my job. This is my job. This pays my bills. However, you don't have to pay money for this content. It's really ridiculous. People aren't bright. Oh, it's tough. Let's talk about my sequencing on the adapt there rather than timing people out and then lecturing at them. So, Growth Chamber Guardian, if you kill it in response to being adapted, you don't get to search a thing for it. So I didn't adapt while I was attacking to get 2 more points of damage in, because if my opponent hit it with the removal spell, I didn't want to not be able to get a thing. I then went ahead and adapted during their upkeep, because that way, if they were going to kill it in response to the adapt during their upkeep, they lost the 2 mana during that turn, rather than using it on my turn and then getting to untap. Kirvin, thanks for the brand new Prime Sport. I appreciate that. Thanks for keeping me employed here. I'm gonna bin that. Maybe I'm supposed to keep a removal spell, but at the same time, I kind of just like need a threat to generate card advantage, right? Jim writes every week for the same place I do, which is coolstuffinc.com. They would love to buy and sell Magic Online cards with you and produce lots of wonderful content there. Remember that time we ditched the Vraska's Contempt? Pepperidge Farm remembers. And then we drew a land. Grabs got weird all of a sudden. We had what strange crabs. So I'd like to talk about this deck for a hot second. I think looking at this deck, I think what it is doing is probably, I don't like to speak with strong certainties after only playing a few matches, but I think it's not a stretch to say that this deck is just much worse than what the Sultai variation is doing. Messing up our mana for a card like Judith, while she is good in some spots, the power level that she's adding to our deck in relation to the inconsistency and damage we're taking from our mana because of her, I just don't think it balances out well. Crazy Duck, thanks for the brand new Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome. So I feel like the games we won, we were mostly winning because green-black is good. Yeah, I think this deck felt very similar to GRN Golgari with worse mana. And a lot of the games that we were winning just because, like, the Golgari deck was good. That being said, to comment on things that were good, I think Growth Chamber Guardian in the green-black shell is very reasonable, and there's a chance that, like, working this into the Sultai shells is, like, a great direction to head in. This card seems very, very powerful in every shell I put it in, so, like, having this in your green mid-range deck seems like a good decision as well. So, I think if I was looking for a green mid-range deck, this one doesn't seem as good as the Sultai build. I think there's probably a Judith Jund style deck out there somewhere, but if you're interested in that, I would definitely recommend looking at the more aggressive build that we had played last week on stream. I think that's probably a better fit to, like, leverage her in with a lower curve where her Anthem effect is more powerful. General Snarf with the 3-month resub. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me employed here. All right, who wants to cast some Spawn of Mayhems? Anybody else, like, really, really sad that Spawn of Mayhem hasn't had a deck yet?